Okay, guys, today let's talk about cloud. Okay, recently, Anthropic has announced that will be fundraising Blender. Okay, it starts to be part of a Blender development fund. That means that Anthropic, which is the owner of Claude AI, will help Blender financially monthly. Okay, like a bunch of donators, like Epic, like Microsoft, Nvidia, and yada yada. Okay, so that creates a explosion of concerns about Blender users and also a bunch of tutorials and people showing how to use cloud and how cloud is amazing to create to help you to create the scenes in Blender and helping you to create contents in Blender to speed up your workflow by doing things. But I'm here to tell you that most of the things that are out there online, they are showing that wrongly. What that's a very dangerous assumption, right? But I know what I'm telling you, right? Because I've been using Cloud for about a month and a paid version of Cloud. I know there's a free version, but it's limited. Soon you run out of possibility to keep talking, and I just decided that I would try it out, and I can tell you it's totally worth it. Okay, but maybe not for what you think, and I'm here to explain you why. Okay, so I've been watching a few videos online for people showing how to use Cloud in Blender, and most of them I can tell it's just to produce some content about it. That's not my case. Why? Because whatever they're doing, it's not really helping. Cloud is not really helping you to build up your scene. It's not really helping you to create walls and filling up spaces with trees and things like that. That's not the point. Why? Because, for example, I watched a video person that prompting for for the clouds to filling up an environment with trees, and then clouds did that, create a plane, okay, filling up with trees, and all the trees were separate objects, right? So you could grab that object in different parts, right? So that's not how production work. That's pretty much useless for you. That's useless unless you want to have create some ideas or have some reference. But for that, you can go to ChatGPT or wherever, and it will soon create an image as a reference for you to play around. That's that's not what cloud is good for. Cloud is good for code. Is good for coding. It's good for helping you to build tools, to build things that will then speed up your workflow. Not that way, not creating, not crafting things. That is still on your own as an artist to develop your environment, okay, create your animations. Why I'm saying that? Because by the time that you are prompting and in spending hours trying to get cloud to to create something for you that's useful, you will be doing that already using your tools, using your geometry nodes, using your setups and for animation, using your Blender Kit library, using whatever tools you have available for you as an artist to build up your scene. And that I can guarantee you it's way more reliable than that. You're gonna be finishing that quicker than with cloud help, and you also will be happier and with a scene that you can rely on, and you can change it and you can tweak it, right? Because a scatter system is not just scatter trees. Okay, you have to scatter them, and you have to have a proxy system. You have to have them as an instance. You have to optimize them for the view, camera cooling, and all of that. If you have a tool that does that for you, it's way easier to do that right away because you have your also vegetation, trees, all of that. That makes sense. You build your environment without cloud. okay, without any AI. And then you can use AI the way you want to improve that. That's another topic later on. But cloud inside Blender is not the best for it. I'm gonna show you, but I'm here to tell you, it's really, really good, and it's good for other things, and that's what I'm gonna show you now. Okay, so in 1 month using cloud, I'm using Blender for a long, long time, right? I'm a professional. I work daily in Blender, in a studio and for myself. Okay, so I know deeply Blender. Maybe I'm not that much advanced, but I can consider myself an advanced Blender user. Okay, so a few things in Blender I'm missing coming from 3ds Max, for example, and it's always good to have cooperation because sometimes Blender community, the guys that always use Blender, some guys always use Blender and never use other software professionally. They think that everything that Blender does is the way it is and is the best. You know, like in other software, people that always use just that software think, okay, but that's not the case. And I miss some tools in Blender. I miss a few things that in other softwares, like in 3ds Max, it's better. I can tell it's better. Why? Because it's easier to do. It's more intuitive, and in Blender is not that intuitive. So I started to get some help from Cloud and see if Cloud could help me to build some tools in Blender, and that works for most of the case. That works. Some case it doesn't, right? And that's the thing that's very important. Cloud to help Blender now and get connected to Blender, because then they will develop a good relationship between the developers of cloud and the ILMs itself in the Blender API, in a way that it will understand more deeply Blender, and will be able to decode Blender and help you more and more, because I can tell you a few things. Cloud is still not smart enough inside Blender. It seems that it understands, but it doesn't understand how Blender works, and keeps like any other AI, keeps giving you those answers, like redundant answers that goes all over the same thing and never achieve the goal for some things. I believe it because it still doesn't understand Blender deeply, and also not just that, but Blender has some things that are not really easy for the AI to deal with, and I think that approximation between Blender and Cloud will help Cloud to understand better Blender and help Blender users to build their tools. Okay, so enough to talk. I'm going to show you what in which way cloud is good in Blender. Not to build up your scene. That's not going to happen, at least for now. Forget about it. You're going to lose more time trying to do that, and you're going to be frustrated. Okay. So I'm going to show you a few things that you are not going to be frustrated. Right. First thing, light linking. Let's show you this scene, for example. I have a quick light here, and these objects that are here inside this collection, and this guy that is outside this collection, okay, and a light, okay. I want to have a light linking, so I want to exclude an objects from shadows, from lighting, and so on, okay. The the approach in Blender is you have your light, okay, and you don't have this guy here. This guy here, Cloud builds for me. It's not, this is not here by default, okay. What you have to do is go here inside the object properties, shading properties, then light linking. I can tell you guys, I can guarantee you, I already hear from a couple of friends, especially friends coming from other softwares, they don't understand this approach. And I agree with that. That's not intuitive. Maybe it's best, in terms of organization for uh, how things supposed to be categorized inside Blender, but for artists, that doesn't make sense. Light linking has to be inside the light properties, not inside the object properties. Okay, that's my opinion and the opinion of all my friends that work in this industry. And also, not just that. Okay, the way Blender does is you create a light linking here, and then you can grab, and then what? I know already, but then what? You create this, and then what? You press plus, nothing happened, and then you try to pick up an object, and you miss it already because you select this, you deselect the light, okay? And then you select the light again. Oh my goodness, how is that? Then you have to look, oh, where is this guy is? This guy is here. And then drag this guy and drop, right? And you have the guy here already. But you deselect your light automatically because you drag your guy here. You have to select the light again, play around, right? And choose if the guy will be affected or not. And if you want to have a shadow link with the guy, you have to create another shadow link and bring this guy here as well. Okay, and let's say that you have this collection and you have a bunch of objects inside this collection that you want to play around with them individually. Okay, you can't do that unless you go select all of them, but then you lose the track of your light because you deselect your light. You see the difficulty? So then you have to bring your collection. You bring your collection, but this collection is it's being used uh, all together. Okay, it's not. Oh, I got the other collection. Let's bring this collection. Okay. Oh yeah, this collection is what is here. So you see, you cannot play with the objects inside this collection individually because it brings the entire collection. And then to bring the entire all the objects you have to bring. Let's remove this guy. You have to bring one by one, okay, and play around with them. But imagine that you have a collection with 30, 40 objects. You see, and that's not viable. And then you want to bring them here, you also has to bring one by one. Okay, that works. That works, but that's not the best. You know what I mean? That's not the best. So what I did, I went to Claude and I asked Claude, okay, Claude, can you help me with this? And then I start long interaction with Claude, back and forth. But I, I couldn't manage to get Cloud to create a tool that would do what I want. Okay, and what I want in terms of light linking is this: select the light, go to your light properties, and then you have here light linking. Okay, and then you create your light linking and you pick any object in your scene. That's how it should be, okay? That's how easy it should be, okay? And if you want to have all the objects from this collection, you can always bring the collection entirely like you did, like the works by default. But you can also have this option in which you can come here and pick up the object, one of the objects inside the collection, whatever object, and then it's going to bring all the objects that you have inside your collection, and then you can play around with them. Okay, and then now you create your shadow linking. But if you want all of them here, you don't need to go drag and drop all of them here. You just copy light to shadows, and then you have all the objects here. Okay, except for this collection, because the collection the collection entire collection, it has to be dragged here, right? That's the only thing that you really need to do. But even though, okay, even though if you do that, let me remove all of these guys. Let's remove them. Okay, even if you bring your collection here or your objects, you don't go out of your light to bring them here. Okay, you still can take them and bring them here. Okay, you can still grab two, three collections, bring them here at once. Okay, or even go here and pick up all the objects from your collection. Then you copy down, and then you have them here, and then you can play around with them individually. Okay, that's the easy way of doing that, and that's how Cloud helps me. Cloud helps me to build my own light linking tool. Of course, it's the same Blender light linking, but with the functionalities that I want. Okay, that's one thing. Another little thing, smart thing is I'm gonna show you here, just as an example. I don't want to make this video longer than it is already, but look at that. For example, if you wanna present this to a client, okay, sometimes you want to present what they call mate, okay, which is a gray. All the objects are gray, okay, for the client to see more or less the light, more or less, you know, the geometry, things like that. And in Blender, you can go here and you can use overhide, okay? And you can overhide your objects, okay? But you can't exclude any objects from the overhide. All the other software that I've been working on, they have this option, but Blender doesn't have it. And I've been requesting this. I've seen that people request that already. And Blender folks are working, are doing their best, but they didn't prioritize this. So should I wait until one day Blender have this tool, or maybe have help from Cloud? So I tried help from Cloud, and that's what Cloud gives me. This material override is my material override now. Okay, so that works more or less the same. I choose the material, and then I just need to apply, and then apply to all of them. Okay, but if I want to exclude some of them, I can pick up, for example, the glass, because sometimes you want to present a thing, all the objects in gray, but it has glass, it has water, and it's important to see the glass, it's important to see the water in your scene, okay? And then you just put the objects that you don't want to be in grayscale here, and you are basically excluding those objects from the material override, and you just reload the override, okay? And you don't have your objects as an override anymore, right? And that's it. I believe that's simple. That is something that it's simple to do, but it's something that really helps you to have something that Blender doesn't provide you by default, okay? And it's really, really helpful for especially artist people. That's why I built this guy using Cloud. And I have one more. I have one more. One very quick is this guy, the camera, right? Let's say that you have your camera here. You guys know in ArtViz, you mostly use straight lines, and you can straight your perspective here. You just need to select your camera, go to your camera properties, and the cloud helps me to create this option, which is basically bringing, okay, the camera with straight edges, okay? Simple like that. And another tool that Blender doesn't have and is very, very important is this, okay? For rendering, sometimes you run out of GPU memory. Okay, you run out of GPU memory, and you have nothing. There is nothing you can do except uh, or do not render with your GPU, or close Blender, open again, and try to render again with GPU. Okay, for that, I'm gonna save this scene here. Unit. Okay. So for that, I'm building this, which is performance, but performance plus. Plus, why? Because the performance in Blender is great, okay? And you can change the tiles here. You can type your tiles, okay? And yeah, but I need more tools for performance. That's why I created this guy here, okay? Basically, what this guy does is reset the GPU, and it performs a few tests that sometimes helps the GPU to refresh and start to render again. And if it doesn't work, you can go hard restart Blender, which is basically closing Blender, open Blender, and opening that scene again. Okay, so let's try it here. Restart. And basically it's restarting Blender and opening that scene again, and then you render, okay? And then it works sometimes because it free up the GPU from some buffer and memory, okay? Other thing is the tiles. You can choose the tiles here, okay? Instead of type what you want, I just drag some industry standard tile size, and I can choose right away here which ones I want Blender to render. It's easier, okay? Another thing is like you can downscale textures on your scene. I put it to up to 2K or 1K because most of the times you don't really need more than 2K on your render, okay? But let's say that you have a sky and you really need that sky in high texture, okay? The simplified in Blender, built in Blender, the default, this guy here, is great, okay? But if you choose, for example, to reduce all the textures to 2048 here, so it's going to reduce all the textures on your scene. And what is the point? Okay, sometimes you don't want one object to have that texture reduce it. Okay, so that's why I built my own performance plus thing that it basically downscale all the textures, okay, to 2K or 1K. That's what I want. But I can select one object, place it here, and then downscale all the texture. So it downscales all the text from all objects except for this one. And that's great. That's great. That helps me. Okay. Sometimes also another thing that you have in your simplified, in your Blender simplified, here is the possibility of reduce the subdivisions of your scene to save memory, okay? But let's say that you don't need subdivisions for your scene. Let's say that you don't need the subdivisions. And then you put 0 to your scene, but then you have that car, that the wheel that you downloaded, it's really not, it's very low poly, and it gets better with the subdivision. If you turn it 0, once you render, that low poly will be there, okay? And there's nothing you can do except accept some subdivisions which goes to all the objects you are seeing, right? And let's say that you have a bunch of objects downloaded from Blender Kit online, which people has their own approach, apply their own subdivision, and you don't want them to be subdivided. You just want that specific, you just want that specific object to be subdivided. That will save you lots of memory. You can do that in Blender? No, unfortunately you can't. But with this tool you can. Okay, I will just show you here. This guy has two subdivisions level. Okay, and let's apply some subdivision level to this guy just for the sake of seeing. Okay, so then you can go to your scene and tell, okay, I want to reduce all the subdivisions of my scene to 0. Then you reduce, so you have no subdivisions on your scene, saving lots of memory. But say, okay, this guy is not good. This guy needs the subdivision. Okay, so I want this guy to be excluded from this operation. Okay, and then you put this guy here, and then you restore the subdivision, and now you can just apply the subdivision, and this guy will not be affected at all. Okay, so all your scene was restricted the subdivision, so you save memory from all your scene, just leaving that little object subdivided as it should be. Okay, does that make sense? That helps me a lot already. And all of those were back and forth with Cloud prompting, that work, spending even hours trying to build a tool with Cloud works, because once that tool is done, you already will be using that tool for all the projects. And that works. That's what cloud is for. And I'm really, really hoping that cloud gets better and better in understanding Blender for us to being able to enjoy that functionality and not building a scene for you, not scatter a system for you, not trying to make grass and spending hours and hours to try to make the grass for that scene. And then you maybe make something that looks good and then you have to work on top of it. No, just use your tool to create your grass. Don't need cloud for that. Okay? But if you can spend hours in cloud and then build something that you will be able to use over and over and over and over again as a tool, that's dope. That's really insane. And that's what I believe cloud will be very useful for. Okay? And yeah, by the way, all those tools are available on my Patreon in the link below. And if you want to get some of them, just subscribe as a member. You will have access to all my tools. Also, my generators that I've been building in Gumroad and Blender Market in the link below, they will be also be ported to Patreon. And in Patreon, they will be way cheaper than Gumroad or Blender Market because my idea is if you guys can help me being a patron and I get some income out of it monthly, that will help me to keep updating them frequently, okay? Because right now I am very busy, and to prioritize this is a bit painful for me, okay? But if I have a patron that is really helping me financially to keep going with things, I will build more and more. But apart from that, I will always be uh, adding contents on my Patreon. So I have tons of models. In Blender Kit, I have so many vegetation, all my dogs, everything, and tons of things that I will be gradually putting them on Patreon for you. Okay, and yeah, if you guys like it, if you like my videos, subscribe my channel, thumbs up. If you want to comment something, let's share some ideas. And yeah, it's exciting times. It's a little bit crazy times, but also exciting and freaking out times as well. But yeah, it is what it is. I believe cloud is in this context that I show you here, present you here in my video. I believe cloud is a great thing that is happening for Blender on behalf of this that I show you. Okay, yeah, I'll see you guys there. Take care, okay? And